help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts on the video. Your feedback helps make the contents better. Now let's get to the story.
I raised my glass of champagne, and the entire room went silent. My hand was steady, rock solid, even though my heart was pounding like a war drum. Every single person at that corporate party was staring at me, waiting to see what the poor, dumb husband would do after being publicly humiliated. My wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, stood there with her smug smile frozen on her face, her colleagues still chuckling at her joke. The one where I was the punchline. "Cheers," I said, my voice cutting through the awkward silence like a knife. "To all of you, enjoy the party. You'll never see me again." I took a long sip, set the glass down on the nearest table, and walked straight toward the exit. Behind me, I heard Jessica start to say something, probably trying to laugh it off, maybe trying to call me back, but I didn't turn around. I didn't give her the satisfaction. That was 3 months ago, and let me tell you, walking away was just the beginning. My name is Nathan Cross, and I'm 32 years old. I know what you're probably thinking. Another story about a guy who got dumped and is crying about it on the internet. But trust me, this isn't that kind of story. This is the story of how I went from being the joke at my wife's fancy law firm party to becoming the person she wishes she'd never underestimated. I never went to college. That's the thing Jessica loved to hold over my head, especially as her career took off. While she was getting her law degree and climbing the corporate ladder at Morrison & Associates, one of those big-shot firms downtown, I was working with my hands. I'm a carpenter. Started as an apprentice right out of high school, learned the trade from my old man, and eventually started taking on my own projects. I built custom furniture, renovated houses, did kitchen remodels, honest work that paid the bills and then some. But honest work apparently wasn't impressive enough for Jessica's new crowd. If you're listening right now, help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 1,000 subscribers, but I believe stories like this deserve to be heard. Help me show her that these stories matter. So let me take you back to how we got here. Jessica and I met 8 years ago at a friend's barbecue. She was fresh out of college, studying for the bar exam, full of ambition and dreams. I was 24, already establishing myself in the carpentry business. And honestly, I thought she was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. She had this energy about her, this drive that was magnetic. We clicked immediately. Back then, she loved that I worked with my hands. She'd brag to her friends about how I built her a custom bookshelf for her law books. She'd show off the dining table I made us as a 1-year anniversary gift. "My boyfriend is so talented," she'd say. "He can literally build anything. We got married 4 years ago. Small ceremony, nothing fancy, that was her choice. She said she wanted to save money for a house, and I respected that. I even built most of the custom features in the house we bought. The kitchen island? Me. The built-in entertainment center? Me. The deck out back where we had friends over? You guessed it, me. But somewhere along the way, things changed. Jessica passed the bar, started working at Morrison & Associates, and suddenly she was in a different world. A world of 6-figure salaries, expensive suits, and colleagues who measured success by degrees and titles. Her friends changed. Her attitude changed. And slowly, I went from being talented to being just a carpenter. The jabs started small. "Maybe you should think about going back to school, Nathan. You're smart enough." Or, "Don't you want to do something more with your life?" I brushed them off at first. I was making good money. Some months I brought home more than she did, especially when I landed those big renovation contracts. But that didn't matter to her anymore. It wasn't about the money. It was about the prestige, the title, the ability to say her husband was something impressive at those work functions. The night of the party, I should have known it was going to be bad. Jessica had been distant for weeks, working late, barely talking to me. She told me about the party 2 days before, some celebration for the firm landing a major client. "You should come," she said, but her tone made it clear she didn't really want me there. Still, I'm not the type to hide. I'm her husband, right? I should be there supporting her. I wore my best suit, the one I bought for our wedding. I got a fresh haircut. I even brought flowers for her, thinking maybe I could salvage whatever was happening between us. When I walked into that hotel ballroom, I was hit by a wave of luxury I wasn't used to. Crystal chandeliers, ice sculptures, waiters in tuxedos carrying trays of champagne that probably cost more than I make in a day. Jessica introduced me to a few of her colleagues, and I could feel their judgment immediately. The way they looked at me, the fake smiles, the polite nods before they turned back to their own conversations. I was used to being underestimated, happens all the time in my line of work until people see what I can actually build. But this was different. This was personal. About an hour into the party, I was standing near the bar when I heard Jessica's laugh. That specific laugh she does when she's had a few drinks and thinks she's being charming. I looked over and saw her with a group of people, her boss, a senior partner named Richard Morrison, and a few other attorneys I'd met briefly. I started walking toward them, and that's when I heard it. "And this is my ex," Jessica was saying, gesturing vaguely in my direction but not actually looking at me. "No degree, no future. But hey, he can build a nice table." The group erupted in laughter. Richard Morrison, this pompous guy in his 50s with gray hair and a Rolex, actually slapped his knee. "Jessica, you're terrible," he said, still laughing. But the worst part, the absolute worst part, Jessica's parents were there. Her father, who I'd helped renovate his garage just 6 months ago. Her mother, who I'd built a custom garden bench for her birthday. They were both laughing. Not uncomfortable, forced laughs. Genuine, full-belly laughs. Like I was the funniest joke they'd ever heard. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds. Felt like an hour. Jessica finally noticed me, and her face went pale. "Nathan, I said, cutting her off. My voice was calm. Too calm. "That's interesting. I didn't realize we were divorced." Richard Morrison stopped laughing. The group went quiet. Jessica tried to recover, putting on this fake smile. "Oh my God, Nathan, it was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive." "A joke," I repeated. I looked around at all of them, her colleagues, her boss, her parents. Right? Very funny. That's when I raised my glass and delivered my exit line. And I meant every word of it. The drive home was a blur. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. Texts from Jessica, voicemails, all of it. I didn't answer. I pulled into our driveway, walked into the house I'd partially built with my own hands, and sat in the darkness of the living room for hours. Around midnight, Jessica came home. I heard her heels clicking on the hardwood floor I'd installed. She found me sitting there and immediately went into defense mode. "Nathan, please, it was a stupid joke. I'd had too much to drink." "You called me your ex," I said. "You told them I had no future." "I didn't mean it like that." "Your parents laughed, Jessica. Your parents." She tried to come closer, but I held up my hand. "Don't. Just don't." "What do you want me to say?" she snapped, and there it was. The real Jessica. "You're embarrassed? How do you think I feel? All my colleagues have successful spouses. Doctors, lawyers, business people. And I have to bring a carpenter to these events." "Have to," I repeated. "You have to bring your husband. You know what I mean." "Yeah," I said, standing up. "I do know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean." I walked past her, went upstairs and started packing a bag. She followed, suddenly panicked. "What are you doing? Where are you going?" "A hotel. I need space." "Nathan, don't do this. We can work this out." It was one stupid comment. It wasn't one comment, Jessica. There's been years of comments. Years of you making me feel like I'm not good enough. Like the life I've built isn't worth anything because I don't have a degree hanging on the wall. I left that night and checked into a Holiday Inn across town. Lying in that uncomfortable hotel bed, staring at the ceiling, I made a decision. I wasn't going to be the sad, broken husband. I wasn't going to beg her to respect me. I was going to show her and everyone who laughed that night exactly what they'd underestimated. The next morning, I called my lawyer. His name is Tom Fletcher, an old family friend who handled my business contracts. Tom, I said, I need you for something personal. I want a divorce, and I want to know exactly what I'm entitled to. Before you think I'm some kind of gold digger, let me explain something. That house we lived in, I bought it before we got married. It was in my name only. All those renovations I did, that increased the property value by at least $100 grand. The furniture, the custom work, everything, I built it. And here's the kicker, 3 years ago I started a side investment. A friend of mine from high school, Danny, had this idea for a mobile app for contractors. A way to manage projects, connect with suppliers, bid on jobs, basically a one-stop shop. He needed seed money. Jessica thought it was stupid, a waste of money, but I believed in Danny. So I invested $20,000 of my own money. Money I made from my business, not our joint account. That app took off. Launched 2 years ago and has been growing steadily. Just last month, a major construction company bought it out. My share of the buyout? $2 million. Jessica had no idea. The money went into a separate account, something I'd set up years ago for business purposes. I never hid it from her, but she never asked about my finances. Why would she? I was just a carpenter with no future. Remember? Now, I'm not a vindictive person by nature, but I'm also not a doormat. As I sat in Tom's office, he laid out the reality of the situation. Nathan, since you bought the house before marriage and you did all the renovations with your own labor and money, she has minimal claim to it. As for the app investment, that's yours. She didn't contribute financially, and based on her emails and texts you've shown me where she actively discouraged you from investing, she actually has a negative contribution, if anything. So what do? I asked. Tom leaned back in his chair, a slight smile on his face. You divorce her, keep what's yours, and you move on with your life. But if you want my advice, do it quietly. File the papers, don't make a scene. The best revenge isn't making her life miserable. It's living well. I appreciated Tom's perspective, but I had a different idea. See, I'm a builder. I know that before you can construct something new, sometimes you have to demolish what's there. And this situation needed a complete teardown. Over the next 2 weeks, I stayed in that hotel while Jessica blew up my phone. She went through the full cycle. Anger, denial, bargaining, fake apologies. Her parents even called me, trying to smooth things over. Nathan, she didn't mean it. You know how Jessica gets when she drinks. Don't throw away your marriage over one comment. One comment. They really thought that's all it was. I finally agreed to meet Jessica for coffee. She showed up looking like she hadn't slept, makeup trying to hide the dark circles under her eyes. She reached for my hand across the table. Nathan, please. I'm sorry. I was awful. I know I was awful. Can we please just go home and work on this? I don't think we can, I said calmly. Why? Because of what I said? I'll apologize to everyone. I'll tell them I was wrong. It's not about them, Jessica. It's about respect. You don't respect me. You don't respect what I do. And I'm done trying to earn respect from someone who should have given it to me freely. She started crying. Real tears, not the manipulative kind. I do respect you. I love you. No, I said. You love the idea of me, the guy who fixes things and doesn't complain. But you don't love who I actually am. I slid an envelope across the table. These are divorce papers. I'm filing on grounds of irreconcilable differences. Tom will reach out to your attorney to discuss terms. Her face went from sad to furious in about 2 seconds. Terms? What terms? Half of everything is mine, Nathan. The house, your business. Actually, I interrupted. You might want to read through those papers carefully. The house is mine, bought before marriage, renovated with my money and labor. My business is separate. I'm being generous with the joint savings account. You can have 60% of it. But that's about all you're getting. You can't do this. I can, and I am. Oh, and Jessica? You should probably know something. Remember that app investment you told me was stupid? The one you said would bankrupt me? Sold. $2 million. I've never seen someone's face go through so many emotions so fast. Shock, disbelief, anger, regret. It was like watching a highlight reel of her realizing she'd messed up. You're lying, she whispered. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and showed her the balance. Not to brag, but to make a point. I'm not lying. This is what having no future looks like, apparently. I stood up to leave, but she grabbed my arm. Nathan, wait. We can work this out. We can. There's nothing to work out. You made your choice when you called me your ex in front of your colleagues. When you laughed about me having no future. You know what's funny? I do have a future. It's just not with you. I left her sitting there and walked out of the coffee shop. It felt like shedding a 1,000-pound weight off my shoulders. Now here's where things get really interesting. Remember, I told you this was a revenge story, and walking away was just the beginning. Because while I could have taken my money, divorced Jessica, and disappeared into a quiet, successful life, that wasn't enough. Not after the humiliation. Not after her parents laughed at me. Not after years of being treated like I was beneath her. So I got strategic. First, I bought a building. Not just any building. A beautiful historic property downtown that had been sitting empty for years. The owner wanted too much for it, but with my newfound resources, I could afford to negotiate. I paid cash, got a good deal, and started planning. I was going to open the finest custom furniture showroom and carpentry workshop in the city. Not some dusty garage operation. I'm talking high-end, featured in magazines kind of place. Showroom on the first floor, workshop in the back, consultation offices on the second floor. I hired an architect, got the permits, and started renovations. I did a lot of the work myself because, well, that's what I do. But I also hired a crew and made sure everything was perfect. While this was happening, I made sure to document everything. Social media posts, local news features, business magazine interviews. Local carpenter transforms historic building into luxury showroom. The story wrote itself, really. And because I was smart about it, I made sure these articles got shared, got attention, got picked up by bigger outlets. Guess who started seeing these articles? Jessica's firm. Jessica's colleagues. Jessica herself. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Remember Richard Morrison, Jessica's pompous boss who laughed so hard at me? Turns out his wife was in the market for a full kitchen renovation. High-end, custom work. She reached out to several contractors, and through a mutual connection, my name came up. She didn't make the connection at first. Morrison is a common enough last name, and I'd been operating under cross-custom carpentry for years. Mrs. Morrison, Linda, called me for a consultation. I showed up at their massive house in the suburbs, and the moment she opened the door, I could see the recognition flicker across her face. She'd seen me at the party. "Mr. Cross," she said carefully, "you look familiar." "I was at your husband's firm party a few months ago," I said pleasantly. "My wife, ex-wife now, works there. Jessica." I could see her doing the mental math, probably remembering the scene. But here's the thing about people like Linda Morrison. They care more about getting what they want than about awkward social situations. "Right?" she said, clearing her throat. "Well, shall we discuss the kitchen?" I spent 2 hours with her, going over every detail of what she wanted. And I knew I could deliver exactly what she envisioned, and more. By the end of the consultation, she was sold. "When can you start?" "I'll have my team draw up a proposal and send it over by Monday," I said. "Mrs. Morrison, I promise you'll get the best work in the city." And I meant it, because this wasn't about sabotage. This was about being so good, so professional, so undeniably skilled that it would be impossible for Richard Morrison to ignore. I took on the Morrison kitchen renovation, and I made it my masterpiece. Custom cabinets made from imported wood. A marble countertop that cost more than most people's cars. A kitchen island with built-in wine storage and a hidden charging station. Every detail was perfect. I even brought in a photographer to document the work for my portfolio. When it was finished, Linda Morrison literally cried. "It's perfect," she said. "It's better than I even imagined." She insisted on having a dinner party to show it off. And guess who was invited? The partners from the firm, including Richard, including Jessica. But wait, here's where I planned my next move. You know how some stories have those moments where everything comes together perfectly? This was mine. If you're still with me, I need your help. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because part 2 of this revenge is even better than part 1. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. The dinner party was on a Saturday night. I obviously wasn't invited. I'm just the contractor. But Linda called me that afternoon. Frantic. "Nathan, the island panel is sticking a bit. Can you come by and adjust it? I know it's last minute, but the party is in 3 hours. "Of course," I said. "I'll be right there." I showed up in my work clothes, tool belt and all. Fixed the panel issue in about 10 minutes. It just needed a slight adjustment to the soft close mechanism. As I was finishing up, Richard Morrison walked into the kitchen. He stopped when he saw me. I could see the recognition, then the discomfort cross his face. "You," he said. "Mr. Morrison?" I replied, standing up and wiping my hands. "Just finishing up a small adjustment. Your wife mentioned the party tonight." "Yes, well," he cleared his throat. "Thank you for your work. It's quite impressive." "I appreciate that," I said. Then, because I couldn't resist, I added, "For someone with no degree and no future, I think it turned out pretty well." The color drained from his face. He remembered. Oh, he definitely remembered. "Mr. Cross, that night at the party, I apologize. That was inappropriate." "It was," I agreed. "But apology accepted. I've moved past it. Built something better, actually." I packed up my tools, nodded politely, and left. But here's the thing, I'd planted a seed. Richard Morrison now knew who I was, knew what I was capable of, and more importantly, knew that he'd been wrong. That night, Jessica showed up to the dinner party. I know because Linda Morrison sent me a text the next day. "Nathan, you should know. Jessica saw the kitchen and asked who did the work. When I told her it was you, she went pale and barely spoke the rest of the night. Also, Richard has been telling everyone about you. I think you're going to get a lot of calls. Thank you for everything." And the calls did come. Partners from the firm, their friends, people from their country club. My business exploded. I went from being just a carpenter to being the carpenter everyone wants. I raised my rates significantly and people still paid. My showroom opened to rave reviews. Local magazines featured it. I even got interviewed on a morning news show about supporting local craftsmanship. Through mutual friends, I heard that Jessica was struggling. Not financially, she still had her job, but socially. Because here's what happened. People started asking her about me. "Your ex-husband did the Morrison kitchen? It's incredible. I heard Nathan Cross is booked 6 months out now. Didn't you say he had no future? Looks like he's doing pretty well." Every compliment I received was a reminder to her of what she'd lost, what she'd mocked, what she'd thrown away. But I still had one more move to make. The final piece of the revenge puzzle. Jessica's firm, Morrison and Associates, was looking to renovate their offices. They wanted something modern, impressive, something that would attract new clients. It was a massive project. Multiple floors, conference rooms, partner offices, the whole lobby. They put out requests for proposals from several contractors and designers. And I submitted a bid. Now, I knew Jessica would see my name. I knew she might try to sabotage it. But I also knew something else. I'd become too good, too well known to ignore. My portfolio was flawless. My references were glowing, and I came in with a proposal that was both competitive and creative, designs that showed exactly what their space could become. Tom Fletcher warned me, "Nathan, are you sure about this? Working for her firm? That's asking for trouble." "It's not about trouble," I said. "It's about proving a point." They laughed at me in their hotel ballroom. I want to walk into their office building every day for 3 months and show them what they underestimated. The partners reviewed all the proposals. According to Linda Morrison, who called to give me a heads up, Jessica tried to argue against hiring me. She claimed I was unprofessional and difficult to work with, but Richard Morrison, to his credit, shut it down. "Jessica, the man is clearly talented. Your personal issues don't override what's best for the firm. Besides, half the partners already want to hire him based on what he did for my kitchen." I got the job. The day I showed up for the first meeting with the partners, walking into that building with my team, carrying portfolios and design boards, I felt like I was walking into a battle I'd already won. The receptionist called up to announce us, and we were directed to the main conference room, the same room where they probably had meetings about million-dollar cases and corporate mergers. The partners filed in. Richard Morrison, several others I recognized from the party. And then Jessica walked in. She stopped in the doorway when she saw me, her face going through a range of emotions I was starting to recognize. "Ms. Parker," Richard said to her. She'd gone back to her maiden name after the divorce. Guess being associated with me was too painful. "Please take a seat. Mr. Cross is presenting his vision for the renovation." For the next hour, I presented the most professional, detailed, impressive proposal I'd ever created. I showed them 3D renderings, material samples, timelines, and budget breakdowns. I answered every question with confidence and expertise. And the whole time, Jessica sat there, silent, watching me be everything she'd said I wasn't. One of the senior partners, an older woman named Patricia Chun, spoke up at the end. "Mr. Cross, this is remarkable work. I have to ask, where did you study design?" "I didn't," I said simply. "I learned from my father, from experience, from 15 years of building and creating. No degree, but plenty of dedication." The room went quiet. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Richard Morrison coughed. Patricia smiled. "Well, dedication certainly shows. I think we'd be foolish not to hire you." They voted unanimously in favor, all except Jessica, who abstained. I didn't need her vote anyway. The renovation took 4 months. 4 months of me and my crew transforming their space. Every day, Jessica had to watch me walk through those halls, watch me consult with her bosses, watch other attorneys stop me to compliment my work or ask for my card, watch me be successful, professional, and respected. One day, about halfway through the project, she cornered me in the hallway. My crew was on lunch break, and I was reviewing some measurements. "Nathan," she said quietly. "Jessica," I replied, not looking up from my clipboard. "Can we talk? Please." I finally looked at her. She looked tired, older somehow. "What do you want to talk about?" "I was wrong," she said. "About everything. I was wrong to mock you, wrong to treat you like you weren't enough. I see that now." "Okay," I said. "That's it? Just okay. What do you want me to say, Jessica? That I forgive you? Fine, I forgive you. That I want to get back together? Not happening. You showed me who you really are, and I believe you." "I made a mistake," she said, tears welling up. "People make mistakes." "You didn't make a mistake," I corrected her. "You revealed your true feelings. There's a difference. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. What you did was look down on me for years, culminating in humiliating me in public. That's not a mistake. That's who you are." "I've changed." "No," I interrupted. "You haven't changed. You're just unhappy with the consequences of your actions. There's a difference." I walked away, leaving her standing in that hallway. The renovation finished on schedule and under budget. The reveal was everything I'd hoped for. The firm threw a small celebration, invited some clients and local press. The office looked incredible, modern but warm, professional but inviting. Every detail perfect. Richard Morrison gave a speech, thanking everyone involved. He made a point to mention me specifically. Nathan Cross and his team have exceeded every expectation. This is what happens when you hire the best, regardless of credentials or conventional measures of success. I saw Jessica in the back of the room, standing alone. No one was talking to her, and I realized something. My revenge wasn't about making her suffer. It was about succeeding so undeniably that her opinion of me became irrelevant. After the event, I packed up my tools for the last time. Patricia Chen approached me. "Nathan, I hope you know how impressed we all are, and I hope you'll consider us for any future projects." "Thank you, Patricia. It's been a pleasure. Can I ask you something personal?" she said. "Jessica seems miserable. I know about what happened at the firm party. Word gets around. Do you think you'll ever forgive her? Really forgive her?" I thought about it for a moment. I don't spend much time thinking about Jessica anymore, to be honest. I'm too busy building things. Better things. A better business, a better life, a better future. Turns out I had one all along. Patricia smiled. "I think that's probably the best revenge of all." She was right. 6 months after the renovation finished, my showroom had a waiting list. I'd been featured in 3 national publications. I'd hired a full team of craftsmen and designers. I'd even started teaching workshops for young people interested in the trades, showing them that success doesn't require a college degree. It requires skill, dedication, and self-respect. I heard through the grapevine that Jessica left Morrison and Associates, took a position at a smaller firm outside the city. Probably couldn't stand walking through that office every day, being reminded of what she'd lost. As for me, I'm dating someone new. Her name is Rachel, and she's a high school teacher. She thinks what I do is amazing. She brags about the table I built for her classroom. She introduces me proudly to her friends and family. And when I told her about the whole Jessica situation, you know what she said? "Her loss, my gain. That's what respect looks like. That's what a real partner looks like." Sometimes I think about that night at the party, about raising my glass and walking away, about how terrified I was, how hurt I was, how uncertain I was about what would come next. And I'm grateful for it, because that humiliation forced me to see my own worth. It forced me to stop seeking validation from someone who would never give it. It forced me to build something bigger than my marriage, bigger than my hurt pride, bigger than revenge. The best revenge isn't destroying someone's life. It's building your own so well that their opinion of you becomes meaningless. It's succeeding so completely that the people who doubted you can't help but respect you. It's turning no degree, no future, into a success story they can't ignore. Jessica called me once more, about a year after everything ended. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. "Nathan, I just wanted you to know. I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. Not because I want you back, but because you deserved better. You deserved respect, and I didn't give it to you. I see that now. I appreciate you saying that," I told her. "Are you happy?" she asked. I looked around my showroom at the business I'd built, at the life I'd created. "Yeah," I said. "I really am." "Good," she said quietly. "You deserve to be." We hung up, and that was it. No dramatic final confrontation, no tearful reunion, no closure speech. Just acknowledgement and acceptance. These days, when I tell people this story, and I do tell it because I think it's important, they always ask the same question. "Do you regret marrying her?" No, because she taught me something valuable. She taught me that my worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion. She taught me that success comes in many forms. She taught me that the people who matter will respect you for who you are, not what degrees you have or how impressive you sound at a party. So to everyone who's ever been underestimated, who's ever been told they're not good enough, who's ever been the punchline of someone else's joke. Build something. Build your skills, build your confidence, build your life. Build it so well that their laughter turns to silence, and their silence turns to respect. And if they never respect you, build it anyway, not for them but for you. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge is becoming someone you're proud to be, degree or no degree, title or no title, approval or none at all. I raised my glass that night and said they'd never see me again. I was wrong. They saw me plenty. They just didn't recognize me anymore, because I'd become someone better than the person they tried to diminish. And that, my friends, is the sweetest revenge of all. Thanks for sticking with me through this entire journey. If the story resonated with you, do me a favor, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. I love seeing our community grow, and honestly, it keeps me going knowing people from all over the world connect with these stories. Shout out to our viewers from the United States, the Philippines, and Canada. You guys make up such a huge part of this community, and I see you in the comments every single day. And a special shout out to everyone watching from New York. The Big Apple has been showing me so much love lately, and I appreciate every single one of you. So go ahead, comment below with your city or country. Let's see how far this story has reached. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button because I've got more stories like this coming your way. Stories about real people who turned their pain into power, their setbacks into comebacks. Until next time, remember, your worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion. Keep building, keep growing, and keep proving them wrong. See you in the next one.